Hi, my name's Dave Adams. Welcome to Nerds of Wisdom Weekly. And can you believe that Pokemon Go is in the news again? Let's see what's happening now. So Nicole Lee from Engadget reported this week that she'd gone to the Intel Developers Forum where Retcon had uploaded the Pokemon Go app onto the Jet, which is an Android-based virtual reality glasses, kind of like Google glasses, but, you know, done by someone else. Apparently the app ran very slow, it was glitchy, the technology, she said, was clearly there, but because it wasn't built to be compatible, was still struggled and failed a bit. But we have to remember that Pokemon Go wasn't designed specifically to work with these glasses and vice versa. What it was proof of, according to Lee, is that the technology is there and the capability is there. We can genuinely see people in the future using glasses as a way of catching Pokemon, especially if used with the Pokemon Go wearable, which allows you to catch Pokemon without having to pull out your phone. You could be engaged in the game, looking through the glasses in an augmented reality and using the wearable as a way of catching Pokemon. Now, all of this just seems like a kind of cool way to play the game. But for me, this is a pathway into the future. This is how things start. Of course, we're starting with the game. It's marketable, it's going to make money, but the more money it makes, the more people are going to want to use the technology, the research is going to be there. Games are a pathway to, or avenues for research and development into things that make sense in the future and things that we develop and put into the real world. I mean, the whole process of gamification is a process that looked at what game designers were doing, researching how to engage young people's minds to perform activities and applying it in different situations or different environments, such as workplaces, schools, in the home. Gamification has already been a big part of the marketplace with things like Nike Watch, which has played a huge role in helping people to track their exercise regimes with their diets, and it utilizes a whole series of gamified elements for the purposes of helping people to achieve personal goals. And it makes me wonder what is really still yet to come with this, because this is just games at this stage. This is a game, it's a candy box game, but I wonder what businesses are going to start using it for. Because it's not just going to be game designers trying to sell new games, it's going to be when businesses start to see ways of utilizing that technology to make the mundane, or even to make just those parts of those everyday life parts, to look at them in a new way, in a new fashion. Now we can start to see surgeons doing surgery on people and having files come up about their health, looking at parts of their body and histories of what's happened on that part of the body coming up across the screen. There's so much it could do. I can't wait. I can't wait. Now, here's to something that is Pokemon related, though not quite Pokemon Go, because it has to do with Nintendo. Nintendo release the Pokemon games, but it turns out they're not the only ones releasing their own Pokemon game at the moment. Over the last couple of weeks, two programmers who had spent 9 years creating their own Pokemon game with a whole 150 set of brand new Pokemon released their game onto the internet for free. Oh, they were open if you wanted to make a PayPal donation of, $2 to $5 or so. It took Nintendo about 9 days to kill it. Now, the designers have been very courteous in their press statement, saying they absolutely want to respect Nintendo's wishes. They didn't want to upset anyone. This wasn't about trying to steal copyright. This was about trying to honor something they love. However, there are people out there who are torrenting the game, making it available for others. They say, we have nothing to do with that. We can't stop that. We can't do anything about it. Of course, we don't condone it. Yeah, right. Of course they don't condone it. Of course, publicly, they're going to support any measures they're going to support, any measures that Nintendo want them to do to shut the game down, because they don't want to get sued. But what they did was brilliant. And here's the thing, this is where I think Nintendo have gotten it wrong. Suing the pants off of these guys does nothing. The game is out there. It's not just even about the damage has been done. This is a good thing for the brand. These are two programmers who aren't making any money off of the game, but encouraging people to keep the Pokemon spirit alive. And the fact that they've been doing this for 9 years says that they've been doing it despite the idea of Pokemon Go even coming to light. It's just ideal and opportune. This isn't two guys who went, well, there's going to be this great release, we need to ride the wave. These are two guys who have simply gone, we're going to do this and we're going to make it good. They spent 9 years creating this game, and I think Nintendo, the best thing they could have done is hired them. Here are the guys who are going to take the franchise the next step. It's these kids who are passionate about the franchise, so much so that they would spend 9 years of their lives creating their own version of the game. This is better than 50 Shades of Grey. This is better than fan fiction on the internet. These guys are committed. These guys have a vision, the heart, the passion, the drive, and the know-how to do this and make it happen. Nintendo, you need to give these guys a job. On to movie news now, and Jarod Leto is the latest to sign up to the Blade Runner sequel, which is coming out in blah, 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 sometime soon. Jarod Leto, alright, take him, love him, whatever. If you like that sort of thing, I don't care. However, what did come out also was footage of the new Tick City or City. Now, if you are a child of the 90s, you would know the Tick as being the great big blue, lovable, super-powered, freedom-loving, justice-enforcing superhero for the city. Now, I loved the cartoon. It was one of my favorite things to do of a Saturday morning, was to sit down with my breakfast and my dad, and together we would laugh hysterically through the animated series of the Tick. It was also a comic book originally created by Ben Edlund, who has since not only created an animated series of the Tick, but also a live-action series with Patrick Warburton, and also went on to become a producer, writer, and director of Firefly, writing my favorite episode, Hero of Canton, a man they call Jay. However, this one, he says, is going to be a little bit more bloodier or darker. Looking at the footage, it seems to be some of the same jokes and some of the same story that we saw in the original live-action version with Patrick Warburton, only their focus for Edlund is on the character of Arthur. Now, call me biased by experience, but I thoroughly enjoyed the original live-action version of the Tick. And watching this, it kind of feels like they've tried to remake part of it, but they've tried to make it darker. There's action sequences which were very minimal in the original live-action series. The original live-action series was based around the premise of what superheroes do after they've been out being superheroes. It's about them sitting around at the cafe or at a pub having a few drinks. And so this one seems to have more action, it's got more violence. The Tick character seems to be, well, kind of like he's trying to do Patrick Warburton, but I don't really know what he's bringing to the role that's original or different, except to say that he's not doing Patrick Warburton as well as Patrick Warburton. So, I don't know. The footage left me kind of feeling confused and unsure. Arthur certainly sounded more whingy and whiny, but I liked Arthur as an older, podgy accountant who was just going through a midlife crisis, but in the really scariest possible way. So, I don't know. Maybe it will be good, maybe it'll be bad. I hope it pays off for Edlund. However, the whole time with the Tick, the thing has been is that it is social commentary on superheroes. Who they are, what they do. It's not just parody for me. It was always about the fact that it highlighted the ridiculous nature of superheroes in the real world. I hope it pays off. We'll see. I'm going to keep an eye out for that one, and I hope you do too. And if you haven't seen the Tick, go and check it out. It's hilarious. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Animated series season 2, amazing. Now, as excited as I am about seeing the Tick come back to the small screen, I am even more excited about this. If you are a Marvel fan, you may be aware of a comic book series called Runaways. And it's not about musicians. This is about a group of kids who belong to superheroed parents who suddenly discover that their parents aren't superheroes, but in fact supervillains. They decide to then run away, taking with them some of the technology of their parents and discovering for themselves that they may harbour some of the powers and abilities of their parents. Now, this comic book series was brought to life by Brian K. Vaughan, who also did Y: The Last Man, and he was only going to stay on it for the first 6 months, so about 6 issues, and get it up and running. It was designed to be part of a marketing move from Marvel to target younger audiences and to bring in some of the audiences from manga. The artwork was this great mix between manga and American-style comic book art, which just created something new, which wasn't quite either, but it had the flavor of both, and for me it just worked. It gelled, and it gelled with the writing style. Vaughan did a great job, and he stayed on longer than that initial 6 months because the fan base just grew and people loved it. In part, you got to wonder if this was because it was something new and that it was entirely creator-led. When we talk about the fact that some of the big blockbusters today are just simple remakes of the past, when we're looking at stories being revamped and retold over and over again in comic books, these sorts of things provide a little bit of refreshment. And it's amazing that people always respond so well to really well-written stories and creator-led and driven stories. These guys really took the plunge and created something which was amazing. The characters worked, the characters gelled, the powers were great, and the challenge was good. The idea of these young people trying to understand who they were, and dealing with the idea of their parents not being who they thought they were. And that's a real issue for a lot of teenagers. The teenage years are coming to terms with issues like that, that the people we trusted, that we grew up trusting the most, are just people, and they're not the people we created in our minds. And what it will do is it'll add to the periphery of the Marvel universe. These guys are clearly within the whole Marvel scene. They're clearly within the world of Captain America and Iron Man. In fact, Captain America makes an appearance in the comic book series. But these guys have their own agenda, their own story to tell. They've got their own abilities. And it's not about being wrapped up into the hunt for Infinity Gems. These guys are just out to survive. So for me, it's not just the story. It's the fact that this was a genuine breakaway from the top-down controlled storytelling that was going on in Marvel at the time, and it was a real showing of what can be in the Marvel universe when the heads step back a little and allow people to employ their creativity and to be the creatives that they can be. Once they take the chains off, great stories are told, great characters are made. And I think that's something the comic book industry really needs to start trusting their creative teams. They need to trust the people they've employed to bring the stories instead of trying to continually monitor and control and say, no, 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 characters have to be like this. We don't want our character represented like that. And I'm not saying to take the reins off entirely. I mean, we know through George Lucas is one of the great examples of why the reins off entirely doesn't work. The prequels, when producers and movie companies just stop saying no to the man. People need to say no. They need restraints, they need barriers, but they don't need to be micromanaged and controlled. And so for me to see the Runaways coming to the small screen gives me some hope that this will be, hopefully for the small screen, a reinvigoration of the Marvel franchise with a new take on things in the same way that Daredevil was that surprise success, Jessica Jones, maybe even Cage. But I also hope that they go with the flow and really allow the creative teams to express and to have a go at seeing what can become of the Marvel Universe from this side view, from this angle. I'm looking forward to it. Well, if you didn't catch it Thursday, we released our next core mechanic. It's on Mastermind. It's worth checking out. I know it's an old game, but these games have really got a lot to share with us, and I really think we can learn a lot from them. So I really hope you'll go and have a look at the core mechanic. Also this week, I'll be releasing some more Dice Tower segments. Something happened this week. Somehow both of my segments didn't make it onto the Dice Tower for completely different reasons and for apparently no one's fault. That wasn't Tom's or Z's or mine, but we'll work it out. We'll sort it out. But definitely this week I'm putting them all back in again and it'll be fine. If you go to www.gamerpalooza.com.au, my articles are up about the metagame. It's the first part of a 2-part series looking at the world the game around the game. The metagame helps us, informs us about not only how to be better gamers, but also makes for good games and also makes for a great gaming industry. So I hope you'll find that interesting, worth checking out. Also this week I did a review on the up-and-coming game Unfair. It was released on Kickstarter this Tuesday and was funded within 24 hours. It's nearly about to double what it asked for, so the stretch goals are starting to come out and they're going great guns. It's a tableau builder focused around theme parks. It's got a bit of a take that element to it. Certainly worth checking out. Go and have a read of my review there. Thanks for watching this week. If you've liked what we're doing, please hit the like button. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button. For the outro today, I wanted to leave a memorial for the life of Kenny Baker, who to Star Wars fans everywhere is known as R2-D2. R2-D2 is really the heart and soul of Star Wars, and he portrays the emotion of Luke and Leia and all those characters. He brings the feels to the universe. And I think I speak for everyone when I say what a great legacy to leave behind. Thousands upon thousands of people who have grown up with smiles on their faces, laughing out loud, finding that tenderness in the Star Wars universe thanks to this one guy. Well done, Kenny, and may the Force be with you.